We hope you'll consider joining us for this year's 20th anniversary Loon Echo Trek. You can hike, walk, run, skip, or even drive to the top of Hackers Hill to be a trekker this year. It doesn't require a 100-mile bike ride or a 7-mile hike up and over Pleasant Mountain. And it's only $20. It's a great way to support the trails that you love, the maintenance of them, and the construction of new trails. Please help us spread the word. And everyone who becomes a trekker this year is going to be entered to win great prizes, including a season's pass to Shawnee Peak. So, we hope you can join us for the 20th anniversary of this year's trek. Thanks. We received a number of questions from Loon Echo members, both via email and on the back of the postcards that some of you responded to. We're not going to be able to answer every single question, but I want to get to a number of them. So I'm just going to start off. The first question is, how is Loon Echo balancing the wants of abutting landowners, the needs of environmental stewardship, and the wants of outdoor enthusiasts? It's a really hard question to answer. I think this question really hits the nail on the head in terms of the nexus of how Loon Echo works and where Loon Echo works, and the considerations that go into making management decisions on the land that Loon Echo owns and potential future land that Loon Echo may own. I think one of the hardest balances always is balancing the needs of environmental stewardship, wildlife habitat, leaving areas untouched and pristine, and also the needs of our community and the desires of our membership and broader community for greater recreational access. And I think what we're really lucky to have at Loon Echo is access to really good science that comes from various databases maintained by state and federal biologists to help us determine where it makes sense to put recreational infrastructure and assets and where it doesn't. So using that science in addition to on-the-ground field work, we're able to pinpoint locations where habitat protection is a priority. And then we're also able to think about places on land that we own where recreational infrastructure and assets make sense. Another piece of that is also timber harvesting. So we're looking at our lands from the lens of, can we improve the composition of a forest through silviculture? And in some places, the data suggests that it makes sense. In others, it doesn't. So I think to answer your question, we use the best data that's available to us and then back that up with boots on the ground field work to determine what makes the most sense for any given property. The next question, how do you envision Loon Echo 5 years from now? What would you like to achieve by then? I think our mission really guides the work that we do. Our mission is to protect land for future generations here in northern Sebago Lake region. We're going to keep doing that. And I'd like to think that with the partnership that we are in, Sebago Clean Waters, that we'll continue to be able to access more funding sources to do this work. As many of you know, Land for Maine's Future, the state of Maine's conservation funding program, has been woefully underfunded for almost 8 years. So land conservation and land protection has had to think outside of the box in terms of where can we achieve our funding goals in order to protect more land. And of course, the cost of doing this work continue to go up. So I think in 5 years, I'd like Loon Echo to be even more solidified in these new and innovative partnerships that are going to be able to help us fund this work and insulate us from the political issues that are occurring at both the state and the national level that are making these roadblocks from traditional funding sources. What is the next project for Loon Echo Land Trust? Another really good question. So right now we're working on additional land protection along the Northwest River in Sebago, adjacent to the Tiger Hill Community Forest. I've talked about it a little bit earlier in the meeting. The goal of this project is to secure access for boaters to the Northwest River for non-motorized boating activity, in addition to significant wetland and wildlife habitat along the banks of the Northwest River. We also have another land protection project in the works down in Raymond. I think I mentioned this as well, along the Tenney River, protecting another 20 acres of land via conservation easement that's owned by the Pine Tree Council. And we're always taking inquiries from landowners who are interested in conserving their land, whether it be a sale or a conservation easement. The limiting factor is almost always funding. Um, Funding is what makes land protection work possible. With more funding, we can do more land protection. It's as simple as that. So, in terms of projects coming down the pipeline, I'd love to be able to announce 3, 4, or 5 every single year. But the reality is, without more funding, whether it's from the state or the federal government or private sources, we're limited in terms of the amount of land protection we can do on an annual basis. Last question I'm going to answer, someone's asking about Hackers Hill and our plans at Hackers Hill. Um, we've long thought at Hackers Hill that we can improve the traffic flow and make it safer for visitors by changing the location of the road to the top of the hill. We worked a little bit last year with a landscape architect to help us determine where placing the road made the most sense given topography, soil, etc. And we think we have a really good plan to move the road out of the pine grove to make the pine grove really a pedestrian only area, and also to increase access to or for folks who are less able to get out of a vehicle. Again, the issue here is funding. We're hopeful that we'll be able to realize some private grants in 2021 for this work, but we'll certainly be reaching out and asking membership to support this project as well. I'll also mention relatedly that we are in the first stage of communication with the town of Bridgeton about a major overhaul of the foundational sort of ground level trail at Pondicherry Park. This trail, the main trail at Pondicherry Park, was always envisioned to be more accessible, and for various reasons that never came to fruition. And we're hopeful now that we have a coalition of stakeholders that really want to put some momentum behind this. So in 2021, we're hopeful to do some fundraising around that and even potentially get to work on creating a more accessible outdoor recreation opportunity at Pondicherry Park.